So I implore on all of the National Assembly members, not only Honorable Alhagie, but all of the National Assembly members to look at our recommendations. These are recommendations put forward by 21 civil society organizations.
Another thing that came up, I think, from the engagement on today is the fact that the talk is a lot around the budget, but what we really want to see as citizens is the value for money. If we give an institution $100 million a year to do a certain issue, at the end of 12 months, we should see tangible results that equate proportionately to the amount of money that was given to that institution to perform that particular function.
I am Binta Diboja and I work with the Girls Agenda. The conversation basically, it stems from a workshop that we had last week, a 2-day workshop with Center for Budget and Microeconomic Transparency. So we were able to identify problems from our national budget, and then those problems, we were able to identify the problems and give recommendations to what we think should work for some of these budget allocations, right? So we've looked into the program-based budgets and also the government local fund.
My name is Lamin Diba. I'm the Executive Director for Center for Budget and Macroeconomic Transparency. So there were about 15 problems that we identified. We had to condense the problems to 15, and the recommendations were many. And the main takeaway from this, there are many, all of them are equally important, but the takeaway that I have for this is with respect to the comprehensiveness rather of the budget, the reporting in the budget. The current draft 2026 national budget before the National Assembly members is incomplete in terms of reporting, in terms of the information that it contains. There are key projects especially key development projects that have been underreported in terms of the funding received under those projects. And we have made that known to the Honorable Minority Leader, and hopefully that will be communicated to all National Assembly members, and they will have this problem addressed, because the budget as we speak is incomplete in terms of the information that it presents, and that will in fact impact negatively the National Assembly members' decision making, because without looking at full information, it will be very, very difficult for you to make an informed decision, for you to make the kind of decision that is up to date, the kind of decision that is data driven. So I hope they will sort it out, because this has been an occurring issue. It's not that this has started this year actually, or it's not that it started this year. This has been going on for years, the underreporting of the budget figures, especially the actual figures.
My name is Chernoge, Programs Manager, Activist at the Gambia. Well, for me the engagement was relevant and timely and very, very necessary. I think I want to emphasize that part, how necessary this kind of engagement is. Because as citizens, we don't get to see the budget, we don't get to look at it in its technical format and then break that down into something that the average citizen can understand. And that is what we did with the document. And for me, a few things stood out with regards to the budget. For example, the issue of how we are servicing our debt. What we have realized is in the current budget, actually over 30% of all GLF money is going to debt servicing, right? That is over 22% of the total budget is going to debt servicing, right? The other thing that we have seen that is actually happening is the issue of the excessive operating costs we have seen in all of these projects, which is insane, because over 90% of the GLF, right? Actually 90.11% of the GLF is recurrent budget. All of it is recurrent budget. So that means only 9.89% is going to development. That is $4.3 billion. That is insane. Do you understand? And so the question we have is, this budget is being prepared, and the ministry, they were at the engagement, and what they keep telling us is some of the information they're getting from the ministries and these government institutions are incomplete. So how do you use incomplete information to have an accurate budget? Which came up actually from you, I think, in the engagement, that is the budget realistic or not? Because if the figures that we need to have a complete, meaningful budget that is building from what we had last year, and we don't have the accurate numbers from last year, then we cannot do that. So we have massive problems, Flex, and the issue is we cannot even talk about it here because of how many issues we have.
Right. So we've highlighted problems, and amongst the problems that we highlighted, for me personally, I'll talk about the problem under the Ministry of Gender, budget allocation under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. So the first thing that caught our eyes was the Women Enterprise Fund, right? So we've seen that we want to ensure, like we don't know how these things come about. So we want to ensure that these people that are given these funds, at the end of the day, there is transparency in the whole process, as well as to ensure, National Assembly members to ensure they do not, like the people that are responsible for giving out these loans or funds, do not polarize the entire process. Sometimes you just hear about these things, you don't know if they are going to the right beneficiaries or not. So these were some of the problems that we highlighted, and the fact that the budget allocation for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare is too low compared to their responsibilities as a ministry. So we've also highlighted that if there could be an increment, that the National Assembly Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare could push to the minister to ensure they have an increment for the allocation of the budget for Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare.
It's not more about what he can do, it's about what all of the National Assembly members can do, actually. I mean, because he alone cannot do much with this. All he can do, all we expect from him is to make sure that he expedites the process of disseminating our recommendations to all National Assembly members so that they can have a thorough look at them. Because these are valid, genuine recommendations guided by experts, I mean, including the technical expert guidance of the Ministry of Finance. So it is quite important that all National Assembly members look at our recommendations and act based on the recommendations that we have put forward. We are not expecting them to accept all of our recommendations. I mean, if they do, that will be amazing, because all recommendations that we have put forward are valid. But at least let there be a start, a good one for that matter, in terms of addressing the problems that we have identified in the budget and the recommendations that we have proposed with the problems. It's not just the recommendation of, or it's not just recommendations put forward by one organization. No, it is 21 civil society organizations that have come together to draft these recommendations. So they have been submitted, the document has been submitted to the National Assembly, and we will also share via the soft copy rather to them via WhatsApp and other means, so that they can quickly have access to the document and then have a look at it thoroughly.
I think the issue with the youth is that the budget is small, and the justification they're giving us is that the issue of young people is actually cross-cutting. So you'll find it in a lot of different ministries. However, we don't see the reflection of that cross-cuttingness, if that is a word, right? We don't see the reflection. We don't see development reflecting the issue of issues of young people being cross-cutting across all of these different ministries. So I would agree with what came up at the engagement. That is, why don't we have everything that has to do with young people centralized under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the same way that it is done with the Ministry of Energy, right? I think that way young people will see more dividends with regards to the money that is being spent annually. Another thing that came up, I think, from the engagement and today is the fact that the talk is a lot around the budget, but what we really want to see as citizens is the value for money. If we give an institution $100 million a year to do a certain issue, at the end of 12 months, we should see tangible results that equate proportionately to the amount of money that was given to that institution to perform that particular function. If they do not do that, then just because 12 months have passed by doesn't mean we now get to give them 100 million more. This is what accountability is about. And the National Assembly has an oversight function, and that is what we want them to perform. We want the translation of money into tangible results. And we want that to be reported clearly and transparently to the representatives of the people, and that is the National Assembly members.